very good afternoon to everyone here, all the audience and the august panelist, Dr. Anjan Ray, Mr. Rajesh Khosla, and Ms. Shalini Bhalla. I welcome you all on behalf of BW Business World and Glasspower Group for this wonderful initiative by BW Recycle World. And I am Ashutosh from Glasspower Group, which is a complete solution providing company for glass manufacturing, glass recycling, and waste segregation, and also service providers to FMCG, liquor, and beer manufacturers for reuse of glass bottles. So I would like to start the discussion from, because as I told you, I'll take it from the alphabetical order of the names. So the first, let's start the discussion with Dr. Anjan Ray, who is Director of Indian Institute of Petroleum, Dehradun, a very eminent personality and I would say an authority in the field of petroleum and petrochemicals. So my question to you, sir, how important is developing a circular economy for recycling of petrochemical sector, as it is a base for most of the synthetic polymers?
I think the general imperative of the circular economy is very well understood and underscored. During the previous session, right before this, there was a lot of talk around circular economy, and I can simplify it using what was just said by Mr. Khosla with regard to glass. Every atom that we use, if we are not able to reuse it, some energy will either go in finding a way to use the atom again, or some environmental impact will happen from the atom I throw. So this entire concept of atom efficiency, making sure that every atom in every product can be recycled, is imperative to every sector. It's not petrochemicals, is not unique. And I can see Madam Shalini Goyal Bhalla nodding her head, because ICC does exactly that for a living, right? They look at every atom in every material. And even for glass, the same will be true. So there are a few things we can see for the petrochemical area. One is how much of a petrochemical can be effectively recycled and reused, which is just the conventional wisdom. But more importantly, how many carbon atoms of my petrochemical can I get locally? So today, for 1 million barrels of oil that we refine every day, we spend for 100 million barrels that we refine every day, we spend 1 million barrels moving that oil around. So if I can use my local resources, if I can use local biomass, waste plastic, used cooking oil, agricultural waste, and use that to produce our energy and chemicals, we make a very significant dent. And I would say in petrochemicals, let's start there, start with the origin. And in theory, every synthetic fiber is recyclable. We just haven't developed the ecosystems efficiently, because the three parts that are needed, a supply chain, a technology, and user behavior, the three parts haven't really come in very well today. I can see in this panel, there'll be many people who will not wear secondhand clothes, even though that's the most efficient way to recycle clothes, right? Just have them secondhand. I'll stop my initial exposition there. I think we will have a lot more discussion in the next few minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks a lot, Dr. Anjan Ray. And now I'll move towards Mr. Rajesh Khosla, who is President and CEO of AGI Glaspac, packaging division of Hindustan Sanitaryware Industries. And my question to Mr. Rajesh Khosla is, glass is considered as a wholly recyclable material. So have glass fraternity been able to create a circular ecosystem for glass recycling so far? Because glass manufacturing is being done in India since more than 100 years now.
My answer is no. The reason is, that's what I was addressing some time back. In India, the total glass or whatever is being produced, only 40% of that is in a recycled. The 60% of the glass goes to landfilling, it goes to the waste, it doesn't go anywhere else. It is not coming to the factories to remelt and to recycle. The same thing in Europe, which is almost 80 to 82%. In America, it is close to 60, 62%. And in other parts like Korea, it is close to 90%. So in India, the 40% number, or even less than 40%, I can say, to be very precise, it comes out to be around 37%. It is too low. It's too low. And we all have to really sit down and to discuss and to evaluate and to draw some strategy how we can recycle. It is the easiest things to recycle. It doesn't require any brainy or any data scientist or something like that. But somehow we are not able to do because we didn't feel the need, and we are busy in making all people are busy in their making profits. So some sort of a commitment has to come in recyclability of glass. Particularly, I'm talking of glass now. It should come in the other sectors also. Like we are into the plastic business also, Mr. Ashutosh. Yeah. So we carry a same sort of a commitment in the recyclability of plastics also. But somehow it's not there. Not to that extent, I mean to say. It's there, but not to that extent. So we need something more.
Very wonderful opening remarks by Mr. Khosla. And yes, because I myself associated with glass industry, and we are a DPIIT recognized startups, Glasspower group. And although we don't produce anything, but we are trying to connect all the people, starting from sourcing of raw material to the complete glass plant project management, supplies, and other services. And then waste segregation, and then taking back the broken glass or the used bottles back to the manufacturers or to the users. So I'll move to Ms. Shalini Goyal Bhalla, who is Managing Director of International Council for Circular Economy. So you being, the most learned person here in the circular economy field, I would say. My question is, circular economy is being discussed and talked since last at least 8-10 years, means actively, I would say. Otherwise, it was not a very coined term in the recycling word or for the general people. So what do you think during last 7-8 years, what exactly circular economy means to the people or to the businesses, to the society? Is it really like people understanding it or behaving according to the requirements?
Thank you, Ashutosh, for asking me that question, because this is something you're actually asking what is happening at the ground level and what is reality of circularity. Wonderful question, but I must say that I'm not an expert. There are many people who are experts here, and including you, who have been working in this sector and have been a part of circularity in India in one of its way. So like we all say, also Dr. Anjan very clearly defined that every atom has to come back to reuse is what circularity is all about. And Rajesh was telling how they have been doing it for glass and for plastic. It has been really a good experience for me to know also that 100% of glass in India is being recycled. If not today, there is a lapse, he is saying. That comes as a good news. I mean, I am aware that glass was largely recycled, but 100%, the exact figure was not with me. Anyway, so going from there, Ashutosh, when you talk about circularity, I think India always had this practice. But understanding the concept of circularity is slightly different from the way our country is, I think, moving, or most of the economies are working towards recycling. And what we need to understand is recycling is one of the opportunities, but it is not the best value proposition that circular economy can bring in. There are multiple ways of value proposition with more, which are more value propositions than recycling. I would say reusing, repairing, and remanufacturing are some examples of it. And this starts with system designing and thinking, wherein the processes, the production processes have to be changed right from the beginning, and bringing in the characteristics that are that makes the entire value chain more circular. So recycling, as it is also an energy intensive mechanism, is definitely helping to bring back the resources. But if there is an option of reusing and repairing the products before we get into recycling, perhaps that is a better way. And while India talks about circularity, I think the industry needs to understand that what I see, I mean, I'll just kind of conclude with one line. What I see is when I speak to industry believes that these practices will have some kind of financial implication. Whereas I must tell you that the companies which have already started working towards circular models are at a competitive advantage rather than any kind of financial disadvantage. So that is one thing that I think the industry needs to understand about circularity before we get into a real adoption of circular economy.
Great. Very good insights from Ms. Shalini. Okay, moving back to Dr. Anjan, because Dr. Anjan is doing wonderful work regarding, collecting each and every atom which is going to waste. And I have personally seen his work in Indian Institute of Petroleum, and he has put he has taken many initiatives. So, Dr. Ray, I would like to understand at least two of your initiatives, which I know, but would like to listen from the horse's mouth itself. One is, converting the PET or other plastics to biodiesel, and then few other initiatives you have taken. So I consider all these things as circularity, because otherwise that was going to waste, and you are, collecting all the carbons or all the molecules. Over to you, sir.
You're right. Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for your kind words. What we tried to do was actually understand why so much lands in our garbage dumps and in our sewage drains. So when we started looking at this, the issue was very simple. We were not giving the end users, essentially people like you and me, people living in houses or colonies or societies, we were not giving them a mechanism for returning it back to industry. So we have partnered with NGOs. We've had a particularly good partnership in Dehradun with something called the Sustainable Development Communities Foundation, SDC Foundation, run by a former India country head of H&M. So,
great.
Just as Rakesh ji has run a steel company in Indonesia, and he knows that every country has its own unique behavioral features. One of the peculiar problems in India is that everybody thinks it is somebody else's job, so nobody does it. And we just decided that we were going to make it our job. So we have one little tempo, which on some days carries a logo called Plastic Express, and on the other days it has a logo called UCO, or Used Cooking Oil Express. And it runs around Dehradun. It picks up waste plastic from 18 plastic banks that we have established at schools, colleges, All India Institute, and other places, colonies as well. Now, for the moment people see a plastic bank and all they have to do is put the plastic there, they are willing to do that rather than just throw it in the garbage. We see that acceptance improving, especially when we are able to give them incentives. In some places, for half a kilo plastic, we give them a coupon, which gives them a free meal or a free coffee somewhere using our sponsors. So these have brought in plastic collection. We are able to collect 5% of Dehradun's waste plastic every day. Dehradun produces 20 tons, we're able to collect a ton out of that. After that, the technology is the easy part, because if you have it clean, as Khosla Sahab will also know, if you get a clean source of recycled glass, it is relatively easy. If you get one type of glass, all collected in one way and brought to you, it's much easier to recycle than if you get 7 types of glass. And if you go to the islands of Venice, where glass blowing is again quite an old art, you will see they have a formal segregation system for the different glass categories that they receive. The other part, used cooking oil, is also simple. Everybody throws away their cooking oil. So we encourage companies with large canteens. It could be any company which has a large canteen, a large cafeteria, a large hostel, mess, whatever, to just collect the used cooking oil. And that used cooking oil is being converted back to biodiesel. That can be used in the diesel generators of that place itself. And it's less emissive than petroleum diesel, obviously. And if they don't have good use for it, then we will collect the used cooking oil, bring it to our own campus, and we produce jet fuel for the Indian Air Force every single day. So Air Force planes fly on our fuel made from used cooking oil all the time. So these are just examples. But exactly as Joshi Saab said, whether it is to do with quartz or whether it's to do with fly ash or any other atom that we generate as part of human activity, all you need is a good collection system and a good policy that enables the collector and the converter to make some money in the process. So collection, conversion, and a policy ecosystem coupled with user behavior is all we need. Let me leave it at that for now.
That's very true. And thanks, Dr. Ray, for explaining the entire process so precisely. Moving back to Mr. Rajesh Khosla. Sir, recently you have, set up a very big glass recycling facility, or you have done a lot of work related to glass recycling. I know that. Okay, when you have already received the glass in your factory or in your plant, so it's easy to, sort it out by washing or by cleaning or by other processes. But, how difficult it is to create an ecosystem to get that glass back. And why? Because glass has value. It's not like I know the price of cullet is not it's not a cakewalk. It's increasing day by day, and still not many people are in this particular trade. So what we can do to encourage people for collection, not only glass but other recyclable commodities, so that we could when we are talking about circular economy, so it should actually be realized.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Before I think I have misspelled in some way, particularly Shalini ji. What I was trying to say is, in India, around 37% of whatever the glass is produced is recycled. It's not 100% because balance it goes to the landfilling and other things. Now, a gap of this 63% is to be filled up, I think, with people like Ashutosh and Shalini ji, with your advices and your trust and all. Before I answer Mr. Ashutosh's question, why Swiggy and Zomato startups has come up? Because there was a demand and there is a supply. There is a demand of recycling, say glass. I'm talking about the glass to be precise. There is a demand. I think in my keynote I spoke. Today it's not a subject of academics. It's already on my door. It's standing there with a threat and with a sword. They say, I'll cut your neck if you don't invest the money here today. And people are threatening me. People like AB InBev, which is in a Budweiser beer, or a Kingfisher beer, or a Seagram, or a Black Label. They say nothing doing. If you don't do it, you're out. And fortunately, you know very well, we are the people who are investing a big money in that. Coming back to second part, on a sustainability. Okay, I'm not advertising about my company, but I'm just trying to say that we are generating 20 megawatt of electricity by solar in our plant. 20 megawatt, which is a big amount. So everybody has to do it. Now, coming back to your part, collect the scrap of glass, whatever we were getting, it was so dirty, full of mud, full of caps, full of something. On the one side, you are trying to use maximum glass. On the other side, when you use these dirty recyclable material, you tend to use more energy in your furnaces. So the total advantage doesn't come in the system. The total advantage will come when you recycle with the minimum cost. That is what Dr. Anjan says. They are producing the petroleum and they have to spend on transporting. So it is, you have to see the net effect of the recyclability. So in that case, we invested almost 16 crore of money. We got a recycled plant from the Europe. So it basically clean all the scrap and sort it on a color wise, this thing, remove all plastic, remove all paper, remove everything, put it in a separate baskets, and then we recycle even the plastic. The plastic we have, we have some 3 factories of the plastic. So we use that recycled plastic in our own factories, and the paper and all, it goes to produce the paper, recycled paper and all. So everything is being used. Otherwise, these things are being burned and unnecessarily catching up the fuel. The same 15 crore will be reinvested now in our further 4 furnaces. So total of 60 crores we are going to invest in the recyclability of the scrap. So we are not doing for the sake of profit, to be very honest. We are doing for the sake of commitment on the sustainability part. So this is one. Regarding the challenges, yes, if we get a clean scrap or a clean recyclable material, probably I think there will be a less load even to these units. To be very honest, even these units also consume some part of electricity, some part of power, and some part of this thing to make it recycle. So better is on the generation side, if you come across the right quality of material, probably that is the best thing which can happen. And people like you, Ashutosh, can certainly play a big role. It's not that wherever it is generated, it is bad. No, in between the supply chain, the whole thing is being messed up. See, if somebody is drinking a bottle of beer in his home, he's not putting it in mud or he's not doing anything wrong with that. He's giving it a very neat and clean. But something when it comes to your factory, in between the whole things are messed up and everything has gone haywire and you lose the economic advantage of these things. Now, we are, we Indians, we are very intelligent as we claim ourselves, very well. So we make a IT solutions to the world. We create a NASA, but why can't we do all those things in our own country? When I say we means including me, Ashutosh, please don't take it like that. I'm to the other. I'm saying including me. Yeah. We should do something in that case. Let's make our country neat and clean. Let's make our country recycled. And I tell you one more important thing now. The important thing is after COVID, the whole geopolitical system has changed. So China, I have no problem. I have no plan to go to China right now, so I can speak against them. So in China, they have lost their credibility as a good supplier. So there is a whole lot of advantage to Indian people, to the Indian businessmen in America, in Europe. Can you believe I am getting a whole lot of, this month, I am supplying 3,000 tons of wine bottles to America. I am supplying 2,000 tons of sparkling waters to Canada, which I have not done for last 10 years. From where it has come? Nothing. It has come from China. They were supplying earlier. Now they don't want to buy from them. So this advantage we are getting, but at the end of the day, these people, these European, these Western countries will demand, what is your commitment on sustainability? Otherwise, we will not take your product. They will not approve us in the future. They are doing it because of the economic reason for time being. But after some time, maybe after a year or after 2 years, there is a whole lot of pressure on us. It's a better, I think, we keep our house in order on the day one and make India a ready, to be a good supplier to the European country. So India has a geopolitical advantage as on today, and recyclability has to play a very important role because that is a commitment level the Europe and USA have on the climate change and other things. Some people are saying 2030 is a commitment level. Some people are saying 2050 is a commitment level. So, you know very well, I can name it. There is a company, Seagram, which produce black label and other things. They are our customers. They say their CEO sitting in Paris has given a commitment of 2030. They are on a fire now. They are on a mother. They are burning. They say what you can do in the sustainability, because my CEO has given a commitment to the French president. So you have to do something. So now it's an emergency situation is coming now. It's an emergency situation. So I think let's do it. Everybody comes together. Let's do it. Let's make the model. Let's create startups like Swiggy and Zomato who can take care of the supply chain, maybe in an integrated way or a part way. And let's make a country better, more attractive. It is beautiful, but sometimes the heap of this recyclable material makes it a little bad. So let's make it. So that's my comment.
And great, Mr. Khosla. And you have already always been very vocal as far as the sustainability part or the recyclability of materials and the initiatives are concerned. And I consider you one of the most dynamic CEOs in Indian glass industry, at least. And so taking it forward from here, I would also like to, because our responsibility is, in the same manner equal to like other stakeholders. So presently we are managing around 35 facilities, glass recycling facilities, and we are taking care of around 35 glass recycling facilities in north and eastern part of India. Few facilities for us and few for our customers. And believe me, most of the good companies like Nestle, Pernod Ricard, Unilever, and Dabur, and AB InBev, all these companies all together, Hindustan Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, all these companies are in a lot of pressure, lot of stress to show themselves like they are more and more sustainable companies. And whatever they are doing in terms of buying the packaging material or buying the raw material or anything, it is coming from a sustainable company. It is coming, the source is a sustainable company. So this is something very good, even if it is happening in Europe, but ultimately, it is coming to us also through these channels, and we should take advantage of this opportunity to improve ourselves at least. If we cannot do it because of our own will, at least this compulsion will make this to happen, I believe.
Ashutosh, I got one order of a caps, caps.
Yeah. Cap
They told me in a plastic business, they told me the material which you are going to use, you have to use a recycled material from the ocean. Ocean, how come? I cannot go to the ocean and pick up this stuff in the morning and come here. He said, no, you have to take it from the ocean. I can give you a little bit of rebate. You can take it from the rivers.
Okay.
He said, okay, let's say if I use it normal material, how you can come to know? He says, no, we will have our own system of checking everything, but you have to use from either ocean or river, because our commitment is to clean the river and clean the
rivers. Yeah.
I'll give you more price. Those are the same guys. They will not give a single penny to you, even if you beg for anything. And those are the guys, they say, I can give you any amount, provided you use the material from the river or the ocean. So I can see a level of pressure, a level of commitment.
Exactly.
A level of their, they can accommodate for those levels of commitment of recyclability. So let us try to take, I'm not saying advantage will be a negative word, but I think we can use this thing and to
consider it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So one more thing that government has allowed to use CSR funds for these initiatives as well. Means if we are helping somehow to source the material from sustainable entities or sustainable businesses. So I think using CSR funds in these things is also allowed to some extent now. So that is also an opportunity. So, okay, moving to Miss Shalini, you have heard, great words from Dr. Anjan Ray and Mr. Rajesh Khosla so far, and considering you as, the subject leader for circular economy. So now how you can, compile all these things and guide our audience and to we people, what kind of system or ecosystem we can create which could really realize our dream of a circular economy and recycling of more and more material in the future.
Thank you, Ashutosh. I think very relevant question once again. Uh, I must congratulate Mr. Khosla for his viewpoint on the geopolitical scenario. And I must also tell you that there is a huge pressure on all the big corporates when it comes to their reporting. And that is why the entire supply chain needs a kind of a thorough change in their behavior. And ESG reporting has become not mandatory in India. It is only mandatory for, let's say, the top 100 companies. But at the same time, even the MSME comes to us today because somewhere their investors do ask for a commitment. And that commitment has to be reported in their annual reports and while they show the work. Similarly, like Mr. Khosla was telling that uh, the plastic caps have to be sourced from marine litter. I think that is again a kind of an international commitment that big entities have done, and India must use this as an opportunity. Now, coming to how we can convert these to a circular model is, I think, one very good thing that we can see is getting into production models, yes, but at the same time, if we could work on reusability of the stuff. So that actually happens when we built in with our supply chain some kind of a reverse supply chain model as well. I know it is difficult for the existing businesses, but somewhere down the line, this will be a kind of a system that will have to, like plastics, there is a EPR, there will be an EPR very soon in multiple products. Glass may be one of them, and at that time a lot of entities, industry, glass industry will be forced to collect back the glass that they produce. So while that happens, a shift in the business models is pertinent, where the reverse supply chains would be built in. The glass either will be recycled or reused. One good facility that glass provides us, one of the properties, is you can sanitize it and reuse it for the purposes. I remember when I was young, our school took us for a field trip, and that was to the PepsiCo plant. I think all of us would have done that. And I remember seeing how PepsiCo used to sanitize and boil the bottles, clean the bottles before they were reused. Today, again, the same Pepsi and Coca-Cola are responsible for the biggest plastic that they are generating, the plastic waste generators. In fact, they've been penalized by CPCB last year, and that was a very hefty penalty. So while we talk about this, a similar kind of a thing, similar kind of a model that Pepsi was using maybe 20 years ago has to be brought now back into circulation. And that kind of model will help the industry to become circular. The other thing is serviced kind of a thing, rather than making the approach product based. If we change our focus to making it as a service based kind of a thing, I am not exactly sure how can we do it in the glass sector. But if, like, I remember if the bottle was returned, you would get some money back, even a penny, maybe whatever it was at that time, was a good indicator, or a good I would say a kind of a leverage for the customer to bring back the bottle to the shopper, so that it goes back into circulation. So such kind of maybe service models, where we are talking about some advantage to the customer, that that builds a responsibility of the consumer as well, that they have to give back the clean bottles and deposit that. So any kind of strict deposit return system, which is currently happening in the plastic industry and not so much in the glass industry, has to come in. And I also see glass as a very good alternate to the plastic. If we have to really work on the plastic waste management, it could be a wonderful replacement as well. But the replacement will not happen unless we have the buyback system or deposit return systems in place. So I think, yes, glass industry does have a lot of future and futuristic approach needs in this sector that could convert the entire sector, not only the glass one, but plastic as well, a bit circular.
Great, Ms. Shalini. So I'd like to just add in this conversation, I consider like plastic also as a great molecule or as a great product or great invention, because it gives convenience for so many things. Now it's our problem that we want this convenience even when it is not required. So, okay, for a chair, it is meant for years. Okay, when you have produced or manufactured one chair, plastic chair, so it will remain in the system for next 10, 12 or 15 years. So it is not going to give any such harm to the environment or to the ecosystem. But at the same time, when we are talking about a water bottle, we can, now India is developed enough that most of the people are, even if using public transport, carrying a glass bottle is not very difficult these days. We have covers, we have so many things. Glass is inert, and whatever you consume, if it has been kept in a glass bottle, that will definitely not add anything into the contents. So, but none of us, even we glass people, will buy a packaged drinking water bottle and use it for consumption. We ourselves will not carry a glass bottle. So this is the kind of awareness means everyone should have probably in next couple of years, and we need to have a balance between glass and plastic as a usable material, because both the materials have their own advantages and disadvantages. Now it's our responsibility to choose wisely. So, okay, means we are just going a little bit off track because our topic is circular economy. And again, like we have some time available. If anyone of you panelists want to, make some cross questions to other panelists, so that is also possible, because we are missing here two panelists because of their, not so good health condition, Miss Gauri and Mr. Rahul Nene. So we are a little bit, flexible on time. So if
Ashutosh, you rightly said, using of plastic is not bad.
Yes.
Overusing of plastic is bad. So we have overused it.
Yes.
Okay, in day to day and all. I fully agree with Shalini ji that in the case of, it's not about the glass, any material which is recycled properly or which has very, very less, I cannot say zero impact on the environment, it should be promoted. Today, climate change is not a farce. In last 2 years, we have seen the floods, the earthquakes, and your glaciers are melting, you name everything. And now what is happening in some part of the world? Okay, again in China, there is no grains because the whole thing is flooded. So this environmental change is now a reality again, which is at the door today. So I think so. Let us try to consume less. Okay, let's, as much as possible, let us try to use it. I remember when we were small, we used to wear like I have worn my cousin clothes when he grew tall, and he gave it to me, and I used it. I then gave it to my younger brother. What's wrong in that? Now I think we have become rich now. It looks like that. We don't want to do it. You know, in which year? In 2019, I was in Zurich. I saw it was a Sunday. I was moving around. I saw a big crowd was there, and there were shops. I thought, let me check what exactly they are selling. They were selling clothes, used clothes, second-hand clothes. It was amazing. It was shock to me. A country like Switzerland, which is one of the wealthiest country in the world, they are selling the used clothes, and who is buying? They're all well-to-do guys, so conscious about the environment. They say, okay, I don't require today, let somebody else use it. Is that thing, is the world is coming? Yes, it is coming in some part, very small part. But 40% of the population of the world is in India and China. I think they have to change. So 40%.
Yeah, exactly. So Mr. Khosla rightly said, but I would like to add here, and then I'll move to Dr. Anjan. See, still around 70% of the population is residing in villages in India. And if you see the villages or the population living there, they are more sustainable, or whatever they are doing is more sustainable compared to what we are doing in cities. They are still using, the same method, like the used clothes are being reused by the next generation or the younger siblings. So it's still happening in villages and most of the people, but to some extent in cities we feel a little, we have made it a status symbol. Even kids have made it a status symbol that we will not reuse the used clothes. So okay, I'm moving to Dr. Anjan for the concluding remarks, because we need to close this discussion in next 5-7 minutes.
Yes, thank you again. I think a lot of what my fellow panelists said resonates very much with me. The last point that you made about villages, I'm not so sure anymore. I get to travel a lot to villages, and I think the cities are corrupting villages faster than the villages are transmitting good habits to cities. Because I see plastic waste, multi-layer packaging waste accumulating in the villages. This whole point about marine plastics. So I'll give you the numbers, Khosla Saab. We have the ability to correct marine plastics today. We have the ability to convert marine plastics to reusable plastic grains or granules today. But the cost of that collection, right now, I have a ship at my disposal off the coast of Goa, but the operating cost of the ship is about 14 lakhs per day. Now, for running it for 14 lakhs every day, I will be able to collect a ton of plastics in only about a month, right? So 4.2 crores to collect a ton of plastics. I can collect the same 1 ton of plastic for just over 9,000 rupees here in Dehradun. So this is the issue, right? The issue is the economics. And until there is some kind of a tax on waste atoms, just as we're talking about a carbon tax. In Europe, the carbon price today has reached almost $100. So when there is a carbon tax on the waste atoms and the consumer pays that carbon tax for the waste they generate, that is when things will change. Which brings me to the policy part. In this discussion today, I don't see any policymakers, but policymakers need to be in the dialogue because they are the ones who know what is practically possible and what is not. We are the ones who, given the boundary conditions of a policy and the operating conditions of our real ecosystems, we have to then do what is possible within those boundary conditions. Let me leave it at that. Thank you.
Great. I think we all are of the same opinion that we can do a lot. We can, make a lot of changes. But again, probably action will speak louder than the words. And hopefully, in the next edition of Recycle World or Recycling for the Greener Tomorrow next year, we will have some concrete already done by that time. And let's take a pledge to contribute as much as possible towards recycling, towards circularity, towards sustainability, as an individual, as an organization, or as a society. I would like to close the discussion of this panel here.